Right, another night, another episode of Shovick Sports. I'm Cory.
And I am Austin.
Much anticipated guest. Been really looking forward to this one just because I really have enjoyed watching your guys' stuff because you guys really don't give a shit most of the time. And you guys, not only do you guys put the sports in with it, but you have the humor. And it's kind of the reason we started doing a sports podcast. So, 3 guys, 6 balls. Joel, Avery, Will, we thank you guys for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
So we typically would start with asking everyone, like, why sports podcasting? Would you guys, like, is there a main reason why you guys got into this? And maybe whose idea was it? And, you know, how long have you been doing it?
Joel? So I guess the sports podcast idea is it's pretty fresh, honestly. But I've been super into, like, I've always loved, like, stats and in sports and stuff like that. So I used to write. I had a couple of posts that actually got posted on the Bleacher Report app. This was a few years ago, before I had kids. So then after I had kids, I kind of stopped it. And then I was just randomly just like outside stacking wood one day, and I hadn't talked to these guys in a while. And I decided to give them a call, and I was just like, maybe we should start a sports podcast.
To preface this, we all grew up with each other and have known each other since like second grade. And most of our conversations have revolved around sports and like shitting on each other. So like this, it felt like just the natural progression that once we were like straight up adult men, that we should mess around and start a sports podcast.
And truthfully, when Joel called me again while he was stacking wood, he made sure to mention the call. I either thought A, he was dying, or B, he had a third kid on the way. And either way, not good. Not good either way. 2 is plenty. I've got 2. That's enough. 1 for each person. Good. Move on.
Yeah, I like the creativity in the name, right? I was telling him once Joel and I started talking and kind of starting to plan this, and I told my brother, I was like, 3 guys, 6 balls, and he's like, fucking awesome name. And I was like, he's like, I totally get it. He's like, that's awesome. He's like, that's clever. So
that's all Will right there.
That's Will.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
So the story behind this is I had originally...
We get it, 3 guys, 6 balls. Well, like, we don't need effort.
Good point. We had originally named it unofficially as deep cut inside joke on that we had in high school that would never make sense to anybody ever. And then Joel's wife, Megan, said, "Hey, that's a dumb name. Try again." It is the gist of what she said, honestly. And
it's not for anyone else listening to it, but for us it was funny.
Truly, it was stupid, except for the 3 of us. And then and I said, fine, well, let's just name it what we are, 3 guys with 6 balls. And then that just kind of took off from there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We also didn't want to spend any more time on the name than we had to, so it was perfect.
True.
We were like, well, we're not creative enough to come up with cool names, so let's just call it this.
Yeah, let's do some alliteration and move on.
And just we're ready to start.
The thing is ours could easily be like confused for like gay porn or something. So like it's good that like we push the sports stuff. So it's like, oh, I get it now. I see what you did there.
Well, some people might watch a little longer till the end, right? Like, when's this going to happen? Where's this roast moment? Okay.
The prelude.
I'm looking at 3 of these guys. It's going to happen eventually.
Waiting. No, none of that here tonight. So, again, that's awesome, and we always enjoy hearing people's stories. Your guys' is probably the most unique way of kind of looking at it from
having kids and stacking wood. Like, I don't know how we top that.
Yeah, I don't think we can. So, again, drafts tomorrow. I know it's an anticipated draft, I guess, even though the draft class is pretty weak overall. Quarterback wise, there's still some good position players out there. So I kind of want to start with some sleeper picks. That's kind of something that we've been doing for a little bit. We kind of went through, we compared our top 10s to PFF's top 10s and kind of picked who we thought would be sleepers out of each group. We're not going to do each group, but if you guys want to go ahead and give us maybe a couple players that you're kind of thinking of as a sleeper and maybe someone who could be a steal. Avery, let's go ahead and start with you.
My sleeper pick. I don't know how far down he really goes, but Trey Harris out of Ole Miss as a receiver. I think there's a lot of. Is that yours?
Yeah, I have him as the number 1 rated receiver in this draft class.
Yeah, we talked about him last week or 2 days ago. Sorry,
we just posted our episode today, so
we talked about him today.
Yeah.
But I just think I'm sure he could talk to you a little bit more about him because I just think he's great. And I think that the reason he's being overlooked is because he was injured for half the year. And there's some other things there too. But I think that like, if we're looking big picture, long-term, I think he could be one of the best receivers in the class, if not the best.
Yeah, no, I agree. I overlooked. I mean, him and Jackson Dart, they were even SEC defenses, right? Like, even the SEC defenses had a hard time when those two were just in lockstep. Like, they didn't even know how to handle him. I love Trey Harris. I like his size, speed, hand, like everything about him. Give me him as the number 1 receiver, and I wouldn't be shocked at all whatsoever.
Will, what about you?
I'm going to start with the guy I also recently talked about. I like Ollie Gordon a lot, running back Oklahoma State. He's slid quite a bit. He had a DUI infraction late last year, and then also last year, the team sucked. The Oklahoma State team was just awful. And when you're losing to Colorado, who was honestly mid at best, 52-0, you're just not going to run the ball a lot. And so his production was down significantly. But if you take the last 2 years as a whole, he averaged 5.4 yards a carry over both seasons. And if you're looking for his draft ceiling is round 4. Chances are round 5 or 6, in all honesty. So if you're looking for a late round guy to come in and be a workhorse, you just can't get a better pick than that. The team being terrible isn't his fault, and you can take his 2023 season as pure example of that. Same quarterback, same running back. Obviously, other pieces changed, but yeah, that team was bad. And additionally, I had one more thought, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this. I think his 2023 season ruined his draft stock. If he'd only ran for, 1,000 yards, 1,200 yards in 2023 rather than 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, and then followed it up with an 800-yard season, I think he moves up the running back board significantly. Even with the DUI infraction in there, that's going to push him down some, sure. But if he doesn't have a monster season and then literally half or less production in the following season, I think he has a higher draft probability or draft stock than he does currently.
Yeah, I actually kind of liked him coming out last year. I thought he should have came out last year, and just based on what he was able to do. So I was actually really surprised when he decided to come back. That program is in shambles, right? Mike Gundy, longest tenured coach there in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State. I thought they were going to be a really good team last year just based on what Ollie Gordon was able to do year prior, like you were saying. So yeah, I thought he should have came out into the draft last year. I think he would have been projected probably way higher than what he is now, just based on what he was able to do, and just based on how weak the running back class was last year. As far as it's definitely not as deep as it is now. So I am a big Ollie Gordon fan. I did not think he should come back.
Yeah, no, I think you spot on. You set the expectations where you did 2023, and then essentially the next year, like you still did okay for college standards, right? Like, but you set that expectation for yourself, and then now your numbers just look like you shit the bed. And I definitely think that's like just a little, not a red flag, but that's definitely a little stain on his draft stock, right? Like, well, why the 1,000-yard decrease instead of the 200 or 300-yard decrease? We all think it is a product of the team wholeheartedly, but that is still a wide enough gap to make you question it a little bit. I think that's spot on.
Right, and the only people looking into that are the Jonah Hills and Moneyball that don't get the respect from the actual GMs and assistant GMs making the real decisions. You get this suit and tie sitting in the corner, and then they're like, well, actually, the team was terrible. Yeah, but we don't care about the rest of the team. We only care about him.
Yep.
Yeah. Joel, who is your sleeper?
I'm going to go with a wide receiver from a small school. I'm going to go with Nick Nash from San Jose State.
Yeah, this guy over here he's big on some of those small school receivers, and obviously we heard what he thought about Trey Harris. I am not as big on Trey Harris as he is, obviously, but what makes Nash stand out to you?
I mean, so this guy, he started as a quarterback, and then he went to wide receiver. So he's taken a little bit of time to develop, but he had a couple productive seasons. Prior to this last season, he did okay. But this last season, he had 104 catches, which was second in college football. He had 1,382 yards, which was second in college football, and 16 touchdowns, which led all of college football. Now, I know he's playing against not the best competition every week, but there's something to be said for guys who can put up those type of numbers regardless of where you play. And he's 6'2.5". We'll say 6'3". He's 203 pounds. He only runs a 4.5, so he's not the fastest guy. But what I love about him is that he is competitive. He's very competitive. When you watch his tape, he just competes. When the ball is in the air, this dude has some crazy leaping ability. He's got really good body control. So I think he may not be a star, but I think he's going to be a contributor for a team, especially when you're down in the red zone and you need to score. You need to throw it up to a big-bodied guy. I think Nick Nash is your guy.
Yeah, and there's things to be said about the big receivers are kind of like a wayside now, right? Like everyone wants Tyreek Hills, the quick slot guys who can just burn down the field. But then you see the red zone issues that some teams have because they don't have that big-bodied receiver. So, yeah, I mean, I like that pick.
No, I absolutely love. It's plain and simple for me. I don't care what level you're playing at. You catch 1 million passes in a year, you have some sort of talent to you. Like, there's that to me. He always reminds me, and again, like you said, may not be a superstar, but he always just Adam Thielen. Never got elite level, but somehow he was always he was money in the red zone. Like, you could throw it anywhere in the vicinity of Adam Thielen, and he's getting it. That's how I feel about with Nick Nash. And you have over 100 catches, 1,300 yards, 14, 15 plus touchdowns. It doesn't matter what level you are. At that point, you have something to work with. So I agree. He may not be a Justin Jefferson, but he definitely has a spot on a roster, especially in today's league when you need 3, 4, 5 receivers.
Exactly. Yeah,
he's quality playing time.
Yeah, and again, he's going to take a little bit more time to develop because he really only had that one like super good season, but still, like it's I don't think it's a fluke that he had that good season. It's just that he was a quarterback and then he switched to wide receiver. So just with the right coach and the right coaching, this guy has a lot of potential that still needs to come out.
Yeah, I think being a former quarterback, that's only going to help him too. Once he learns the receiver position a little bit more, I think that background as a quarterback is actually really going to help him. You're basically going to see what the quarterback's seeing and kind of know where to go, what to do, what to expect. So I do think once he gets more acclimated as a receiver, again, like if he goes to like the Browns or something, there's no hope for him. But if he goes,
that's any draft prospect.
See, that's what I'm saying. Spot on. But he goes somewhere with like a Sean McVay or a Kyle Shanahan or just like an offensively just gifted mind who will know how to work with them and use them. I do think the sky's the limit for that guy.
Do you want to give your sleeper, or do you want me to go?
I loved all of their sleepers. I was going to say Trey Harris because I've been beating the drum for him for like years now. Since it was a little offensive heavy, I'm going to go defense. I'm going to go with my Iowa boys. I'm going to go Jay Higgins and Sebastian Castro. Safety is Castro, and then Higgins is the linebacker. I know not sexy positions. Everyone wants to either high-flying offense or edge rusher type deal, but there's something to be said. Those safeties and linebackers. The linebacker controls your defense, right? Like the quarterback of the defense, very important. You have to be athletic. Higgins fits that. Sebastian Castro, I don't know why he's so far down. Like, he's made all Big Ten teams 3 years. Real solid safety. He's going to be an absolute steal. I think I saw him projected 4 to 6 range, which absolutely blows my mind. I think he can come in and be a day one starter. So for me, if you can go that late and come in and be a day one starter, steal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And safeties are they're becoming such an important position, and now you kind of are looking at who can be the hybrid guys who can come down, play in the box, who can, also man center field and kind of be able to shut down the middle of the field. And now you're also looking at guys who tight ends are starting to obviously transition themselves into receivers, slot receivers, not just on the line. So now you need the safeties because we look at teams who try to guard Travis Kelce. We look at teams who try to George Kittle. And even when Gronk was playing, safeties are becoming a very important position. If you can find those hybrid guys, they are valuable. Anything else on Castro or Higgins?
I want to touch on Higgins real quick.
Mhm.
I think it was pretty clear over the last several years that Iowa's defense was the team, basically.
Yes.
Hunter had good stats.
Iowa's defense and their running back, and maybe their punter.
Yep.
So I mean, Jay Higgins, you look at his stats for the last 2 seasons, he had 124 tackles this last year and 171 tackles the season before. I mean, this dude can just tackle. Like, if you want a guy that can just come into your defense and just tackle, that's Jay Higgins. I mean, it's basically as simple as that. I mean, you can't overlook the stats. He may not have it all put together. That's why he's not going to be a first round pick, but you can't overlook those stats.
Yeah, no, and I always feel like he was just like a little more athletic of a Nick Bolton. Like Nick Bolton, little slower, but he tackles, right? He came in and he tackled. Got a nice little payday for it, right? Very important to the Chiefs defense. I feel like Higgins is no different. He's going to come in, he's going to make the play that's there. He may or may not, blow up to be a Roquan Smith, but to have a linebacker who can come in and just make the plays that are there in front of him, to me, that's the most important thing for a linebacker. I know you need to have some pass coverage and do all that a little bit, but if you just come in and make a play that's in front of you, that should be more important than almost anything else you do as an inside linebacker.
Yeah, and I look at Denver. Denver's linebackers obviously a Denver need, and I'm not wanting a linebacker in the first couple of rounds. There's obviously other needs that Denver does need, but I do like Higgins to come in and play. Denver's linebackers are very thin. Alex Singleton's okay. He is a tackling machine, but he's also making all the tackles after like 5 or 6 yards already past the line of scrimmage. So by then it's already, third and short, third and medium, somewhere in there. Whereas Denver needs a guy who can actually just come up and get through. I was actually, a lot of talk with Nick Bolton coming through. I know Dre Greenlaw, but I still don't know, is he going to be healthy enough? So Higgins is a guy who I would like Denver to maybe kind of keep tabs on as far as, linebackers go and someone that you can get later on in the draft. So my sleeper, I've tried to switch it up each time, and I meant to talk about him last night when we were on with the coach. I like Jimmy Horn from Colorado. I do know, obviously, Colorado is Shedeur, it was Travis Hunter, but Jimmy Horn, those skill receivers that Colorado had were actually really, really good. I know, again, it was all about Travis Hunter and what he was able to do, but there were plenty of times where Jimmy Horn kind of came under the radar and he kind of helped push that offense. We can talk all we want about Shedeur and what we think of him as a quarterback, but the fact is he still made his receivers look good, or other way around, however you want to look at it. Travis Hunter made him look good, or his receivers. So what do you guys think about Jimmy Horn and maybe his prospects as an NFL receiver?
He's a little on the light side.
Yeah.
But
174. Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole team, that whole offense was.
Yeah.
They're all small guys.
But I mean, just because he's on the light side, it doesn't mean he can't contribute. I mean, every team basically has that short little guy that, can just, he has a role on the team, basically. I mean, you look at, I'm a Cowboys/Steelers fan, so I watched the Cowboys.
Switzer. Ryan Switzer, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, I mean, I wouldn't compare his speed to Turpin for the Cowboys, Kevontae Turpin, but he's not even close to that speed, but kind of, shorter guy, lighter guy. He has a role in the team. He's not going to be a superstar, but he has a role. So I think that's where he's going to fit. He's going to have some sort of a role on the team. Probably just that shorter guy who can come in and just kind of make defenders miss. But I think he's going to do well.
you look at his. I mean, he obviously had to drop off by a little last year. 37 catches, 441 yards with 11.9 average, as long as it was a 69-yard catch. But then the year before was 58 catches for 567. So he's obviously, again, that offense wasn't molded around Jimmy Horn. It was Shedeur, Travis, and whenever they could get their running game going, or whenever their offense line could give Shedeur enough time. But yeah, I like the prospects of it, and again, it's a little bit on the weaker side for receivers in this draft. I think once you get past those first couple, it's kind of a crapshoot of, could he come in and be a special teams guy while he's trying to learn the position in the NFL offense? I think he could. I think he could be really valuable in the kick return game and or as a punt returner as well.
Yeah, I think he can carve out that like Wan'Dale Robinson role, where
that's
every single target you're going to get is going to be for 1 to 3 yards. Whatever you do afterwards is awesome, but you can very well have 4 to 6 catches a game for like 12 yards if that's all you end up getting out of it. So I do think there's a role for him. He is that little guy, but every team has that gadget guy now, right? It's kind of becoming more of a popular thing. So if he can carve out just a quality gadget role, I think that would end up being a really good pick for a team.
Yeah. Do we have any other sleepers before we move on? Nope. All right. So we just talked about sleepers, right? We just talked about sleepers. Now, there's got to be someone that you guys are just tired of hearing about before the draft, right? Like, I know it's Shedeur.
Nailed it.
There's others. So, Will, who are you tired of hearing about as we head into the draft tomorrow? Or this
When I can Shedeur, I can find someone else.
I mean, where do you start, honestly? The Colorado Buffaloes. I think I'm just tired of hearing about all of them. I am not big on Travis Hunter, specifically in the NFL. I truly think he's going to have a real Tim Tebow career, where college was unbelievable, and he comes in the NFL, and his game just doesn't translate. And that happens regularly, but most notably is probably Tim Tebow, right? One of the greatest seasons and one of the greatest college careers ever. And then he got to the NFL. He got that one playoff win over the Steelers. Sorry, Joel. No, sorry. And then year for Broncos. Yeah. And then there was just nothing. He tried to do a tight end for the Jaguars, I think, for half a season or just an off season or whatever, and it just didn't work. And so sorry to take the hot guy off the top, but Travis Hunter specifically, I'm just so. We talked about him early on in our show about, is he worth the number one pick, and if not, where would we take him? And you have to take him because of his athleticism in like the top 4, top 5. Like, he just has to go there. But I as a GM myself, I put myself in that position. Do I feel confident with that pick? Right, risking my current career on, we got our guy. No, I don't. I'm trading back. That's honestly what I'm doing. I mean, if this is my pick, okay, I'll get somebody else then.
And do you think it's risky having him play offense and defense? Do you think he should focus one side, or do you think or is that what maybe you're tired of hearing about? Is he going to play both sides? Is he going to be Shohei Ohtani of the NFL?
Gosh.
What is it?
Shohei Ohtani isn't putting pads on, getting hit by other grown men every single play. Again, I talk about Travis Hunter in our episode that came out today. So I guess here I go again. It does not work in today's NFL to play 120 games a week, or 120 plays. 120 plays a week. It just doesn't work. You can't regularly expect to play an entire 17 game NFL season with one bye week, playing 120 snaps a game. It won't work. You are, especially at his size, he is going to get broken early trying to do both things. Or he's going to put his entire team at a huge risk because he's not going up against weaker Big 12 offenses. This is the NFL. You're going to be lined up as CB1, CB2, and so he's going to stand there against grown-ass men and have to defend them at 180 pounds, 190 pounds. It's just not, they're going to push him over. They get 5 yards. Yeah, come press me, boy. Come on, child. Come press me. I'll push you over. I honestly almost wish he was playing back in the Andre Johnson, Andre Johnson, Calvin Johnson days. I'm going to line up against one of those two and see what happens. It just doesn't translate. And so I truly think he should go receiver first, but then you flip the page there. If a corner comes to press him, he's taking plays off. If you watch the film of Colorado, if he gets beat on the line of scrimmage, all right, this is somebody else's play. Unless, as regularly happened, Shedeur was under pressure and he needed to go with somebody, so he just is, all right, let me just run real quick and see if I can't get open. And so I don't think his game translates well to the NFL, especially with all of the media buzz about him, about how, well, I better get announced as both corner and receiver. I better get this. I better get that. You are going from medium fish in a big pond, because honestly, medium fish is giving him some, in my opinion. A lot of people say he's a big fish in that pond, the college pond, to a small fish in a large pond, an even larger pond in the NFL. He's just going to get overlooked as a rookie regularly. So I guess I'll step off my high horse. Also, Shedeur is right in that same page, but somebody else didn't talk about him. I'm sure of it.
Thank you. Good. Or Joel, let's go with you. What about you?
Well, first, just let me say, going to Travis Hunter real quick. So, Travis Hunter couldn't even stay healthy for a full season in college. So, I don't see why anybody thinks he can stay healthy for a full season in the NFL. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. But my guy I'm tired of hearing about is Shamar Stewart, defensive end for Texas A&M. I just don't understand how you could draft a guy in the first round, and I've seen him mocked consistently in the top half of the draft, top half of the first round. How can you draft a guy in the first round, in the first half of the first round, when he's had 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons? He had 1.5 sacks every single year for 3 years straight. How can you draft a guy that high when he has 4.5 sacks in 3 years?
Yeah, no.
Potential.
That is.
Yeah.
That's literally what they're. Yeah.
But no, and we'll touch on that in a second. Avery, go ahead and give your thoughts
on Shamar, or am I overrated?
Go with your overrated first, and then we'll start the discussion with the other two.
I'll hit Shedeur because I looked up on some mock drafts and I see he fell out of the first round, which brings joy to my soul. I know it never happens with quarterbacks. They'll always get drafted higher than they should. For me, I always saw it as kind of the same deal. Like, he played in the Pac-12 and then in the Big 12, and I guess his style reminds me, although he's not the same type of player, a little bit of like Tim Tebow, where it's a lot of improvisational play. Most of his highlights look a lot like dumb luck. It's honestly, it's
that
like
Hail Mary that he had against Baylor. Like, no way that should have.
No. And the thing is, it's like, great. If you score and you win, great. And then to bring, if we talk about our bingo cards of the things we bring up, make a basketball analogy. If a guy hits 10 threes and they're all banks, but he never goes for banks, it's like, yeah, you got 30 points. But like, if this was like an audition or a practice or a tryout, it's like, dude, you're not very accurate. You're consistent. You're consistently inaccurate. Not to say that that's him, but I feel like there are too many times, because we look at college and look at the NFL, it's usually razor's edge to see if, like, hey, you're really good in college. Is this going to be enough to get over the hump in the NFL? Because, like, I could play basketball against a guy and dominate him, or football, and then a guy gets an inch taller, 10 pounds, 15 pounds heavier, and then suddenly it's a different game. And I feel like these little plays that end up like dumb luck are going to result in turnovers, lower production, and it's going to be a disaster. I think he's got too much of an ego. I think he's got too much of this, sense of entitlement. He's been talked about for so long. His dad's Dion, primetime. I just think he's gone into this with the wrong attitude. And similar to maybe Manziel, I think he's going to have a similar kind of burnout career. He might stick around a little longer because Manziel was a little more volatile and just personal issues, whereas Dion at least has a dad who does care about his success here and can impart this knowledge. But I just think the sense of ego going in here is a little wild, and I think it's starting to show, and I think it's going to manifest itself in his career.
Yeah, and I think it was said that, with Travis Hunter I do think he should be the number 1 overall pick, but I think if this was last year's draft, he's not even near I don't think he falls there, right? But I think he needs to pick the spot. I think he needs to he's probably better off as a receiver, because I do agree as far as he'd just get thrown to the side with some of these receivers where he's lining up on. Between him and Abdul Carter, I think that should be who goes number 1, just because who the quarterbacks are and how weak they are. Obviously, Titans can't really fuck around and not take a quarterback, right? But the other part that kind of stands out was Shedeur. I also get that feel of, I don't think he's really in it for the right reasons. It's more of the glitz, the glamour, commercials, hey, the attention's on me, yes, my dad's who my dad is, but now it's my turn, my time. I didn't think about it until you said the Johnny Manziel thing kind of actually is like
That's spot on.
That's like spot on.
That's all he was in college, that dumb luck, right? Like running in circles and checking to Mike Evans. Hell, I could do that. I can run in circles and Mike's down there somewhere.
Yeah. So, and I know you kind of know a little bit more about Shamar. We have a friend who's a huge A&M fan, so sorry, Justin. But you're gonna have to just suck it up and realize that the A&M players aren't as good as
SKU players. Anyway.
Well.
But
yeah.
honestly,
No,
you can make a case for the whole Texas A&M defensive line.
Yeah, you could.
I like Nick Scorton more than I like Shamar Stewart.
I do too.
A lot more. I think you're spot on. I think we mentioned it with Nick Nash, right? Like, stats talk, at least some, right? Like, because stats talk, it also means put on the tape, watch, the dude balls out. Like, the same thing applies to when you underperform. Go watch the dude play. Like, unless his like QB pressures are really high and like he's just not quite getting there, right? But even those aren't there with Shamar. Someone like that who I do think the foundation's there, and coaching he could get to that elite level pass rush. But I'm not wasting a first round pick on that. There's no way.
Exactly.
No way.
Absolutely right.
Not a chance. I think he is a prime day 2
Mhm.
pick because you have the chance of him turning in to that elite top 10, top 15 level talent. But I like Nick Scorton way more. Again, could the A&M guys just in general be a little overrated? Probably.
Yes.
I mean, like year after year they have, they brought highest rated recruiting class ever, highest recruiting class ever. Well, that resulted in 6 wins, so something's not going right. But yeah, no, I mean, and I wouldn't even take Scorton that high. I would take him 31 with the Chiefs because that's technically a second round pick for the Chiefs. Like, you're not up there getting prime people anymore, so you can afford to take a project. But I think you're spot on with Shamar Stewart. There's no way he should be projected top high teens, mid teens, and that like that does blow my mind. I've never once I love defense, and this is the first time I've even mentioned his name on a draft episode. That's how little I think.
Yeah, he's extremely overrated.
Yeah.
We're going to release our top 50 big board on social media tomorrow morning. And I'll just say he's ranked 33. And the reason he's 33 is because that's the first pick, not in the first round. If you want to take him in the second round, go for it. He's got all the traits. He's got a lot of potential, but I would not draft him in the first round because he does not have any production. You have to have both. I'm a stats guy. I believe stats tell a story, and most of the time, they tell a very accurate story. And this guy does not have the accurate story.
I'm with you. I like stats and film, but everyone falls in love with combines and pro days.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, put on the tape. What did you do in the actual? Especially at A&M, you're not playing the Pac-12, Big 12. You're playing basically NFL talent every week there. So what are you doing there? And in his case, nothing. The stats and the tape will show that. Let's listen to it.
And I think another thing that was said earlier on is you do have quite a few coaches who are, and even the GMs who are, this is their make or break, right? Are you really, like, if you're Brian Daboll, are you really wanting to risk, Travis Hunter maybe. But at the same time, it's like I don't know how much more slack they're going to give you if you're the Titans. Callahan, I know you're going into year 2, but you didn't really set a very good tone with your first season. So at the rate coaches get fired now, just in general, it's win now or you're gone. You're replaceable, right? And you have a new GM there who you're not his guy, so he'll move on from you quick. So that's a huge reason why I think teams are gonna have to be more strategic on how they're doing this, because it's like you got it in the back of your mind, think, is this guy really gonna help us get maybe not over the hump completely, but we have to show strides and show that we're improving a little bit. So this is not the draft to be on a hot seat when you're really looking to get those guys in there to help your franchise go. What about you? Who are you tired of hearing of?
Everyone that everyone's mentioned. I think I'm gonna touch on the Travis Hunter one a little bit though, because I like Travis Hunter, but I agree with you, Will. It's a big boys game. I think he has a little chance of succeeding because, in all honesty, it's not that big of a boy game anymore. Like it's kind of, for better sense, pussified a little bit.
That's
so
fair.
I think he has a little chance. But I think a perfect spot for him would be the Patriots. He needs to go to a locker room with like a Mike Vrabel. He's
that's a
going
good
to have
point.
a head coach like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
He can't go. He's going to go to Cleveland, and there's going to be no stability. There's going to be no accountability. There's going to be he free range there, and that's not what he needs. If he can go to like a Mike Vrabel-led locker room, I do think you'll see a pretty good career from Travis Hunter. But he has to have that kind, because he's never had it, right?
Right.
Deion didn't really care. I guess Deion was Coach Jackson State too.
Yep.
So he's never really had just accountability, someone to put him in his place, to hold him to the standard that he thinks he's at. So I think for him, Patriots would be perfect. But yeah, no, I'm tired of hearing Shedeur Sanders. I mentioned it last night. I don't think he's good. There's been nothing that has made me watch anything he's ever done and been like, wow, this guy has a chance. I'm tired of him, and that's all we've heard about. It's a weak quarterback class, and some people are like, man, Tyler Show might be better than you. Like, Jackson Dart might be better than you. Like,
Jackson Dart is
those, like,
better than him.
Well,
He
exactly, but like, how good are you really? If we're starting to say in a weak quarterback class, some of these other ones are starting to creep up, right? So I've never liked him. I'm tired of hearing about him. The moment his name is called at 20, I believe 21 for the Steelers, then we can move on and be done with it.
And it's funny, I'm tired of hearing about Tyler Show, honestly. I see he's creeping in, and I'm looking at it like, he wasn't very good at Texas Tech, right? Then he leaves and goes and moves on. So, again, I get it. It's a weak draft class, but let's stop with the whole he may be creeping into that, first round area. The team may be trading back in to get him.
Don't forget, he wasn't good at Oregon either.
Yeah, he wasn't even good enough to start at Oregon. That's where he started his career.
Well,
Back up in Oregon.
Journeyman for 6 years, and now he thinks he can move it to the NFL.
This guy's Brandon Weeden 2.0.
There you go.
Yeah.
Age and all.
Actually, no, that's a really good comparison.
That is.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
You're right.
That's exactly what he is.
I almost said but worse, but Brandon Weeden was not bad at Oklahoma State. He had a good year in his 29th or whatever year of life as a super senior at Oklahoma State. But same thing with Tyler Shuck here. He wasn't bad at Louisville last year. He's just old.
See, I was high on him when way back when the offseason first started. I was high on him because I thought he had the foundation to be a really good project quarterback in like the mid to late rounds. But then he started to creep up. So I think you're spot on. Like, I know it's a weak class, but let's not overvalue some of these players, right? So like, I was high on him at one point, like when I thought project quarterback at best. He has the size, a little bit of arm. A good coach can work with that. But now that we're seeing like late first round, like beginning of second round, it's like you're starting to see desperation, right? And I know the quarterback position is where people get desperate, but like that's too much, to be honest with you.
And I like to think a good chunk of teams have their quarterbacks right now. Now you may be starting to see like the guys with the older QBs who are kind of winding down that maybe looking to bring in. At this point, do what the Giants did: go Russ and Jameis, right? Like, yes, they're two old quarterbacks, but compared to what you're going to get in the draft, I mean, you might as well take your chances with this. I mean, Tyler's almost the same age as Russ and Jameis. Like, he's not going to be able to stick it out much. But, yeah, no, I started seeing him creeping back into that 30-ish range, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, are teams really that like, we talk about teams who can't really afford to bomb this draft. Well, I think if you're taking him in the first round, then you're obviously doing something wrong. So
It'd be a Browns thing to do. So
Yeah,
we
the
talk about-
Browns
talk
are going to
about-
move back into the first round at pick 22, exactly where Brandon Weeden was drafted, and it's going to be Brandon Weeden all over again.
we talked about Johnny Manziel and Brandon Weeden, who drafted him.
Yep.
It's like, are we starting to put teams together here, like Cleveland? Like, I know you said last night with those guys that Cleveland. I mean, you're going to die if you're in Cleveland. Like, that's where careers go. I mean, outside of Myles Garrett, he was even trying to get out until they threw
A lot of bags
a
at
lot
him.
of bags at him. So it's
So
like,
they somehow convinced him that they're going to start winning.
yeah,
No, I think it was, hey, we have money. So
Yeah, they're like, who else have we been paying? Look
Yeah.
around, dude. We got 50 players worth of dough to throw at you.
yeah. So is there anyone else that you guys are tired of hearing about, or maybe you're getting to that point of maybe that you're tired of hearing about outside of the Buffaloes?
I'll say someone I'm never going to get tired of hearing about. Jackson
Jackson
Dart.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, and man, it's
I had him as my number 2 rated quarterback, so I have no shame.
yeah, and I
I would. I'm not quite there. I'm just afraid he's going to end up on like the Giants or something, so then there'd be no hope.
and I think it's gonna be the Saints or the Steelers. I think the Steelers are gonna have. It's gonna be interesting to see if Shedeur and Jackson Dart are right there, and the Steelers are kind of like, oh no, where'd he go?
Bye.
I kicked him. I was like, dude, get out of here, man.
No more Buffalo talk for you.
Watch
Get
him.
out of here.
He'll
Travis
probably
Hunter.
come crawling back too. He'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I got my connection." I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
dude,
But
you're a coward.
the Jackson Dart thing. I
I will.
don't.
Hey, well,
Hey,
So
Will.
you can't
nice
decide to come
join.
back.
Yeah.
We don't need to
So-
talk about this any further.
So go ahead and tell us what you love about Jackson Dart, and where's your ideal spot for Jackson Dart?
Well, you mentioned it already. I think, honestly, the Steelers would be a great fit for Jackson Dart. I mean, a lot of people like to hate on Tomlin, but he does, most of the time, he gets the most out of his players. Most of the time. And Jackson Dart was the most efficient quarterback in college football last season. I mean, a lot of people say he doesn't have all the elite traits and all that stuff, but I mean, a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL don't have elite traits, but they're just good at what they do. And Jackson Dart he led one of the best offenses in college football. And I mean, you look at Trey Harris, right? Like Trey Harris had like 1,000 yards in 8 games. So, and then he got hurt, and Jackson Dart was still really good after Trey Harris left. So he passed the ball to a lot of different receivers. He had a lot of receivers who had over 400 receiving yards. I think it was like 4 or 5 that had over 400 receiving yards. And so he can spread the ball around. He knows how to make a read. He doesn't just stick with the first guy. And the efficiency for me was what stood out. Again, a stats thing. He also is a good runner. You can design run plays for this guy. He can improvise and pick up those extra yards. And I said I think it was our first episode, I said that Jackson Dart is the Patrick Mahomes of this draft, and not that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes, because nobody is Patrick Mahomes, but I say that as he's going to be a guy where Patrick Mahomes was ranked as like the 5th quarterback in that draft class. And then he goes number 10 overall. So I think Jackson Dart, who's behind for a lot of this NFL draft season, he's been behind Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. I think he's going to be better than both of those guys. and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's going to have the best career of all these quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I look at him with Pittsburgh and with getting DK Metcalf. You have George Pickens, obviously, then Freiermuth and some of those guys. But I also look at the Saints, too. The Saints aren't completely trashed, right? Like, they still have, some weapons to go with as far as, you're not really, asking him to come in. And I mean, they have, obviously, things they need to clean up cap-wise, obviously. But now you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal that gives you a little leeway with some of those older players with expiring contracts. And then how do you think, back to the Steelers real quick, I'm not a big Arthur Smith fan as far as like what he's doing. Thoughts on Jackson Dart with Arthur Smith?
I mean, yeah, the offense hasn't been great, but they also haven't had a quarterback.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you can judge a guy based off of that, but because people do, and that's what the NFL is. But also, it's like, if you have a head coach who's taking over a winless team, like, you can't judge him based off of what he does in that first season or even the first couple seasons, because he doesn't have the pieces that he needs, right? So, I mean, I know he's had some offenses that have been pretty bad, but there hasn't been a quarterback there. And the Steelers just need that quarterback, and it can put them over that hump. I mean, they were better than they were in previous seasons with Russell Wilson as quarterback, but they still weren't great. They were middle of the pack, but you just need that guy. And I think Jackson Dart is that guy. And so if they just have that guy, then I think they can get there.
Yeah, that's who Steelers from day one is where I thought ideal for Jackson Dart, just for him. But I also just, as a fan, kind of hope to see him with like the Niners. don't pay Brock Purdy and then just give an actual quarterback with tools to Kyle Shanahan and what they have there, and then you'll really see just beautiful football. But yeah, I love Jackson Dart. I think the Steelers is an absolute perfect fit. I know I've been seeing a lot of Shedeur to Pittsburgh lately, so like if those are my two options, I pretty clear which way I would lean. But yeah, Jackson Dart, it's a common theme that we kind of hit tonight. Just look at the stats, look at the tape. He was already doing it against NFL's caliber people, players, defenses. I don't really need to see much else.
If the Steelers go with Shedeur Sanders, if they somehow wind up with him, they're just getting the Antonio Brown of quarterbacks.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
it's true.
It is. And another thing with the Steelers, and I've touched on this a few times over the last couple episodes, as far as talking about the QB prospects to Pittsburgh. That defense is still Pittsburgh, right? Like, that defense is still good. They still play the Baltimore Ravens better than most teams do. That now they don't have the offense to, your 13-10, your 17-13 games. Now, if you can put someone in there, now you can add, a touchdown, maybe 10 more points to what you're averaging per game. That automatically catapults you into really making possibly a deep playoff run. And we talked at the beginning of the offseason, we were talking about coaching candidates who may be on the hot seat. I think it is time to start talking about Mike Tomlin being on the hot seat. Love Mike Tomlin, love him to death and what he is as a coach. But again, even with the Steelers, you gotta win games in the playoffs. I know the whole streak of being above 500, doing his thing there, but now, it's a proud franchise. Like, they have rings, they have Lombardis, but they haven't had any of those in a long time. So I think it is time. Mike's got to be able to get someone in there, because I think time is running out, and I'm not sure Shedeur Sanders is that guy that you want to put, your eggs in a basket for. So do you guys have thoughts on that?
I thought he had a lifetime contract. I swear that guy's been coaching since for as long as I've been alive in Pittsburgh.
He really has. And
he also hasn't aged.
Really.
Not a day.
Not a day. And it's just one of those where it's like, okay, well, the Packers with their quarterbacks, well, it's like the Steelers with their head coaches, right? Like, they just keep rolling through and just keeping them. So
I think instead of firing Mike Tomlin, they're going to trade him. I could see them doing that. he's too good of a coach overall to just fire. He actually has trade value as a coach, which sounds weird.
Yes.
And yes, you can trade your head coach.
Yep.
And so I could see them giving him a couple more seasons. To answer your question though, Shedeur, my problem with Shedeur is my same problem with a lot of these guys. Is I don't think his game translates to the NFL either right now. The NFL is not a pocket passing quarterback league anymore. That quarterback has to have mobility. And over the last 2 seasons, Shedeur Sanders has had like negative 100 rushing yards. That's not good. I mean, even you look at your top quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes. He may run like a toddler with a dirty diaper, but he runs. And you get Josh Allen, who's jumping over people. Lamar Jackson's running all over the place. Your top quarterbacks, even Baker Mayfield, he's 30 years old now. He's still running all over the place. I know, right? Old man.
You can't forget Kyler. If you're going to talk about runners, you're going to talk about babies with dirty diapers. You can't forget Kyler.
Yeah, you're right. Almost all of the quarterbacks, except a few, they've all got the Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees era of quarterback is over.
I don't know, man. Joe Flacco's hanging on. My boy Joe.
First
around, all right.
Joe Flacco, fun fact, first $100 million contract. Joe Flacco. They won the Super Bowl. He was the first person in the NFL to get a $100 million contract. And back then, people were like, "Oh, this is way too much money. You can't pay a player this much."
Now you have Prescott, who's making $60 million a year.
We don't need to talk another second about Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Let's make this a fun question real quick.
Oh no!
So,
Based on Dak Prescott, I am now excited.
So with Dak Prescott, and we got asked this last night on the show that we were on with Coach and his co-host, and they were talking about Will Howard and what Will Howard is coming out of Ohio State. They asked us if we would take Dak Prescott or Will Howard. Is that a fair question, or is that like a no-brainer?
Avery wants to go. I think Avery wants to go.
Avery, let's hear it.
Yeah, I'd kill them both and marry Mike Tomlin. Like, I don't think either of them. Will Howard. Yeah, no. I mean, as an Oregon fan and watched him play both games. I mean, I watched the first few minutes of the second game, but I've watched other Ohio State games. Yeah, no, this guy is, I would say, the same as a little bit of Shedeur too, because they've got some dogs in their receiving room, and I think it helps bail him out. And I think that's Will Howard. It's like, yeah, dude, you are on the team. You are the Yankees of college football right now. Like this is the team that this is the best money can buy, and sure. you just happen to be QB1. You weren't anything crazy special. You're just you are a recipient of this good fortune. And I think I've seen way too many plays where it's like, no, this dude is not a game changer. It's good that he like hangs with the boys and produces, but for the most part, no. If he goes to the Browns, I mean, he get cut in training camp. I just they'd keep him. They'd keep him. They should. It would be a mercy. I'm gonna stop. You guys talk about. I want to talk about Will Howard.
I agreed with you. I'm no Cowboys fan by any means or Dak fan, but I'm gonna show him a little bit of respect and be like, I would still take Dak Prescott over Will Howard, because I'm with you. And we had a little bit of love, or not love, but we got to watch Will Howard a little bit at K-State, being KU fans, getting to watch him play. And I agree, right? Like he has a little mobility, a little running, but like it's a weak ass noodle for an arm. Like, let's be honest, like, you're not going to have receivers 12 yards open in the NFL like you did at Ohio State. You're not going to hand it to two of the most legitimate running backs that have ever probably been on one college football team before. Could you go out and, maybe lead a team that is absolutely super set? Could you fill in for Jalen Hurts on the Eagles and maybe look okay? Probably. Maybe.
He's like some of those earlier on Saban Alabama quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Before they started using black quarterbacks. Back then it was like, no, you guys are victims of team-wide success, and because you are the quarterback of that team, we're giving you the benefit of the doubt. We shouldn't at all. Like, you got absolute units on this team. You guys just happen to be here. Like, it's because you're the Alabama quarterback that we're giving you this look. And I think it's the same with Will Howard. I think it's the same thing with Shedeur Sanders. It's like, would we give you the same attention if you weren't prime time's kid? And I think that has to be kind of measured in there before we.
Yeah, the A.J. McCarrons and Brody Croyles of the world, like absolute dog shit quarterbacks. Got some legitimate shots in the NFL, though, because like you said, you were surrounded by absolute units. I like that one.
I was throwing to Julio Jones. Like, dude,
yeah,
throw it behind my back. Dude, I can have 3,000 yards in Alabama.
yeah.
If I got these big boys up front protecting me, dude.
And I think you actually said last night that he would be like a Taysom Hill. Like, you just move him to tight end, and if you want to make a package for him, as far as that, so like.
Yeah, I thought his best chance for NFL success was to become like a Taysom Hill or like a Logan Thomas route, where you just become like a big old tight end or a Swiss Army knife. Because there's no way you watch this dude try to throw like a football farther than 3 yards and be like, that is some arm talent. It's literally a wet noodle that he's trying to throw a football with. And there's no way that translates to the NFL. I don't see it. So I think he's going to need to Taysom Hill his career if he wants to have some longevity going on here.
Wait, we still talking about Will Howard with this?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to say, Taysom Hill is a different kind of animal altogether. I would say that Will Howard can try to do that. I would love to see him just go shoulder down into some DBs, into some like edge rushers. But that's just I'm just partial to Taysom.
A poor man's Taysom Hill. Let me get that. I love watching Taysom. A poor man's Taysom Hill. That's why I also threw Logan Thomas in there, because like just go be a tight end. Maybe not a Swiss Army knife, just be a tight end, former quarterback. But
yeah,
no, I love Taysom Hill. I think every team needs to find one of those. And
just an absolute team guy. Absolute team. It's like, I will do whatever you need. I have no ego. I just need a job. I got a family. Like, I'll do whatever you need. And he does it well.
Blocking punts, returning punts, rushing the passer, throwing the ball, tight end, fullback, goal line back, receiver. What do you want me to do? I'll kick the damn field goal. You want me to do that? And he would. And he'd probably be good at it.
Yeah.
So let's talk on who needs to win this weekend's draft. I know there's a lot of teams who are borderline, and then there's obviously the teams that are just downright shit. Titans, Browns, Lions,
Cowboys.
Yeah, let's start with the Cowboys. That's my team. That's
as long as Jerry Jones is there, I'm not changing my stance.
Can we start with the Cowboys, because that's who I have.
We're trading Jerry Jones.
Since we're on the Cowboys, can we start there?
Are they going to trade Jerry Jones for Mark Davis's haircut?
Ooh, I don't even know if I would make that trade.
I didn't think there was anyone we would say no to, but that's a good one.
That's a lose-lose either way.
Here's the thing.
Haircut.
Jerry doesn't trade anybody for anything unless he's trading away half his team for nothing. So there's not enough value. He's not losing enough value by gaining Mark Davis's haircut to make that trade.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they made moves, though, right? They got Kenneth Murray. They traded for somebody else who I can't think of, so he's probably not that good.
Why do you call that making moves?
Hey,
yeah.
At least they didn't have enough money to sign Derrick Henry, right? So
yeah. It's all tied up in Dak's contract.
Well, yeah, and he obviously, and even CeeDee Lamb obviously wanted to get paid too. And here's Micah Parsons saying,
I hope it costs him Micah Parsons. He belongs in Kansas City.
Well, he won't go to Kansas City, but
he belongs there.
Yeah. So
start talking.
Let's. Well, we're on the Cowboys, so like, are they hoping for Ashton Genty? Are they gonna go? Are they going to go punter? Are they going to go kicker? Are they going to go, are they going to find Dak Prescott?
Stepped on a landmine.
Don't leave again.
Where are they going with the 12th pick?
Okay.
Whatever.
So the Dallas Cowboys, for me, are the team that has the most at stake in this draft, and they have to ace this draft. And here's why. So last season, Jerry Jones makes a absolutely stupid comment and says, we're all in. And then he does absolutely nothing to make anybody believe that they're all in, which you could see the result of that on the field. Okay. Even if Dak Prescott didn't get hurt, they still would have been absolute garbage. Their offense was garbage. Their defense was garbage. And you got Jerry Jones out here saying, oh, Derrick Henry wouldn't have fit in our system. He wouldn't have been as good if he played for the Cowboys. Okay. So they have to ace this draft. And Jerry Jones, I don't know if you guys saw the notifications, but Jerry Jones has come out and said that they're working on 2 big trades right now before the draft. Okay. We're almost to Thursday. Where's the trade, Jerry?
We're going to trade for Aaron Rodgers and for some other unsigned free agent.
So, yes, trade for a free agent. Yes. Okay. So I don't think. I mean, you still have the cocky Cowboys fans who always say we're going to the Super Bowl every year, whatever. I am not one of those. I am a Cowboys fan who says we suck every year, even if we make the playoffs, because I know we're going to lose in the first round. So the morale right now, just based off of what happened last season when you said we're all in, the morale is so low right now that nobody can believe anything Jerry Jones says. If Jerry Jones says that we're working on 2 big trades before the draft, I'll believe it when I see it. And you know what it's probably going to be? He's probably going to trade for the number 1 pick and draft some guy who should be drafted in the 3rd round. Like he traded for Jonathan Mingo for a 4th round pick. Like, come on, dude.
Quality.
Like, and then trading for Amari Cooper with your 1st round pick. Like, and then these other guys these other big time receivers are getting they're getting 5th round picks for him. Like, come on. So, I mean, it's almost Thursday, Jerry. You still haven't done anything, even though you've come out and told everybody that you're going to. And now I think that the teams that you're trying to make the trades with are just purposely not going to do it because they want you to look like a fool.
Yep.
They've got all the leverage now. I mean, you come out and say that. You're like, oh, I'm going to get these guys. I'm going to bring in some good players. Like, cool. Now we hold all the cards because, like, well, I don't know.
Well,
no,
I think
yeah,
Jerry forgot to clarify that he's all in, but he only has 1 chip. I think he forgot to mention that. Like, he wasn't sitting here to say he was all in, but he only had 1 chip. So, like, yeah, he was all in, but he didn't have much.
The problem is, there you go.
And I do like the Cowboys pick, and I look at it as we were high on the Commanders last year, especially after their draft. I still thought that the Commanders were a year away, not now, right? Like, I didn't see the Commanders coming out and doing what they did last year. That just puts that much more pressure on the Cowboys because if you don't nail this draft, you're really, really close to teetering into that Giants territory of, well, now you're just 2 easy wins for Philadelphia and Washington. So I don't know what they would do with the 12th overall pick. I know everyone's been on the Genty bandwagon for them. If he gets there, maybe that's who they are deciding to. They'll trade up to number 1 overall, and they'll draft Genty right there.
I think they want Travis. I don't know anything, but that's just a thought. That's just what I think.
And as a Cowboys fan, how would that make you guys feel? Will, I kind of feel like you would probably shit.
Well, it depends on where we get him, right? So, like, if we get him at 12, I can handle that. Okay, fine. He fell to 12. Let's take the best athlete in the draft. All right, I'll be fine. But if we're trading up, that means we're giving away this year and probably next year's 1st round pick and a slew of others. For that, I'll be a little respectful here. That's just such a waste. It's just a miserable waste.
I got to be honest, I do kind of enjoy seeing/hearing just a little bit of Cowboys misery.
A little bit. It's been 30 years.
Yeah, no,
and that's the reason why nobody can trust anything Jerry Jones says. Nobody can trust anything Jerry Jones says because he's going to do the complete opposite of that. And on top of all that, not only did you say that you're going all in and then you sucked and now you're telling us you're making trades, you signed probably the most boring head coach in the history of head coaches. What reason is there for?
Like, I didn't expect him to go for. Like, he wasn't on my card of, oh my God, that's going to be their coach. And then he actually did it. He actually hired him as the coach. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
Cowboys going to cowboy.
The offensive coordinator who didn't call plays for one of the worst offenses in the league.
He learned so much.
So Denver did that a couple years ago. I know as a Broncos fan, Denver kind of went that same route with good friend Nate Hackett, and I for one was like, cool, we got an offensive play caller, we got and by week 2 I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Why is he still here?
Well, this guy didn't even call plays. He was the offensive coordinator. He didn't even call plays.
Well, this was I don't think Hackett did either.
Hackett didn't call plays.
He was just Aaron Rodgers' like friend, so
he was the offensive supervisor.
Supervisor, basically. And then week 1, when they're in Seattle, he settles for a 63-yard field goal instead of, hey, we have timeouts. We should probably call a timeout and see if we can get, I don't know, maybe 30 more yards to try to get in better field goal range instead of let's run it down from 40 down to 4. McManus goes try to kick a 63-yard field goal in Seattle. So I feel like this is where that's going, and I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it.
Appreciate the love. Thank you so much.
Because the Cowboys have talent. Let's
we
all can enjoy.
They have
you do.
CD,
you do.
Players that play football.
Yeah, I mean, there's football players there.
Yeah.
They have a roster full.
They have a full roster too.
Yeah. So they have players there. So it baffles me, and that's why I think until Jerry Jones is out, and I said it with Washington, the moment Dan Snyder was cut out of the equation is the moment Washington became really good. It didn't really matter the direction they went. He was just cut out of the process, and you see what happens. I think it's no different with Jerry. As long as he's there, it's going to kind of keep being Cowboys' year to not be their year, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending who you are.
So what's a head scratcher, like a pick? Like they come up 12, they make the selection. What makes you say, what the fuck?
Omari and Hampton.
Shut up, dude. You should be so lucky. That's my boy.
So Genty goes to the Raiders because Pete Carroll wants a running back and that team needs it. And Dallas goes, well, we have to get the second best guy at pick 12. We can't get the first best guy in literally any other position. We have to get the second best running back in the deepest running back class we've seen in a decade. Omari and Hampton, that's the guy. That pisses me off more than Shedeur Sanders, truly. Truly.
Let's be honest, though. North Carolina running backs just suck anyway, so like I kind of get it.
I'm going to stop him right there because Javonte Williams was just fine in Denver until he blew his leg out.
Always a reason.
And he never really bounced back. I was really, really high on Javonte Williams. I loved the pick. I thought he ran the ball really well. Has a scary injury, doesn't really come back fully healthy. I hope Dallas does actually have better luck with him, and I hope he does kind of bounce back from that because I still think he's young. Obviously, a serious leg injury like that, you never know with, what happens there. Like, not everyone's going to come back strong like that, but I'll pump the brakes on North Carolina running backs. And
let me just counter that with saying I am an absolute Drake May fan.
It's good.
Like
now you're talking dirty to Avery.
Yeah, I'm
excited,
pretty sure last year I had him as my second quarterback. Like I liked him more than Caleb Williams.
Pro Bowl quarterback.
I love Drake May. I'm excited he got Mike Vrabel. I know I mentioned it earlier, but now that he's got some competency and that in his just around him, I think you're gonna see. I mean, honestly, within 2 to 3 years, you're gonna see MVP caliber play from Drake May.
Joel, what makes you scratch your head? What pick would it be for the Cowboys at 12 if Roger gets booed up there and he makes a selection?
Matthew Golden for me. I don't think he's a wide receiver 1. I don't. I would much rather have Emeka Egbuka at 12 than Matthew Golden.
I'm just really glad you didn't say McMillan. Like you wanted McMillan. I'm glad you didn't say that.
I mean, I would be okay with McMillan at 12, but if it's Golden, I'm going to be pissed off. I don't think Matthew Golden is a wide receiver 1, and not that the Cowboys need a wide receiver 1, but they need a wide receiver 2, but you don't draft him at 12. I think if I would and I don't know, you guys probably haven't seen our latest episode yet, but I am extremely high on Emeka Egbuka, and I would much rather have him at 12 than Matthew Golden. Just because he would be a much better fit. He's going to be a much better player than Matthew Golden is. But the Cowboys like Matthew Golden. There's a picture of Matthew Golden with Jerry Jones that got blown up on social media. So I think that's probably what they're going to do. They're probably going to trade up to number 5 and draft Golden instead.
Yeah. I'll listen to that episode tomorrow. I did see a post, so I'll listen to that tomorrow. I actually do hope they do take Ibuka because I don't want there to be that prospect of Denver drafting a receiver at 20 because that's when I'll lose my mind. I don't want a receiver at 20 for Denver.
Hey, if you get Ibuka, I'm telling you, you will not hate it. I promise.
I will at first, but I have the whole next couple of months to talk myself into the whole thing. Just I got to see what else they do. There's much more pressing needs for Denver than receiver right now. I still think Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and those guys, they'll get it figured out. I like what Bo Nix was showing last year, but wait. That's all it is. Just wait. There's so many other things that you can get at 20 that you can worry about receivers later on when needed. Ideally, D-line, first round, second round, we're going running back, and then after that, I don't care.
Does Jerry Jones do something smart and draft Trey Harris 12? Huh?
The word smart and Jerry Jones does not go together.
That's the first time that's ever been said.
Yeah, it felt weird that I kind of had to stutter to get it out. Like,
Yeah.
I glitched. The universe didn't know what was happening, but yeah. Do you think receiver is the need, or would you prefer a different positional, or just
Not for
best
this
player
draft.
available?
No. What they need is an actually good defensive lineman.
Agreed.
But
Yes.
I don't think there's anybody that's going to be there at 12 that they're going to get.
I've seen Mason Graham start slipping.
If they could somehow, if Jerry Jones pulls off a trade and he gets Mason Graham, that would actually be the only thing that gives me any reserve with that is that the Dallas Cowboys and Michigan defensive linemen do not go together.
Oh, did Mozzie Smith not work out?
No, and neither did the great Taco Charlton.
Oh, good golly.
Taco is a chief for a cup of coffee, so I know about it.
Yeah. Avery, is there anyone on your mind that needs to kind of win the draft?
I would say that the Titans have a lot of pressure on them. I mean, yeah, they're first, and I think that there is no clear-cut pick. It makes me think about the '84 NBA draft. I don't know if you guys know who was drafted second behind Akeem Olajuwon, but it was not Michael Jordan. It was Sam Bowie.
Oh, Sam Bowie. Go Blazers.
Yeah, Bowie.
Yeah.
And they drafted him not because he was the best player, but because they needed size. And size was a much bigger deal for that team at that time, and they had Clyde Drexler. I'm worried that there's going to be teams, particularly in the top three, that are going to end up picking a player because they feel they have to. Then again, the fans weren't that upset when Sam Bowie got drafted. Retroactively, they were when they found out his body was made out of glass and Michael Jordan was the actual GOAT.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I feel like for the Titans and especially the Browns, there's always going to be a magnifying glass on you. The same way that McDonald's had it when Super Size Me came out. You know, every fast food joint had the same crap food. It's just that McDonald's was the one they made the documentary about. You know, there's a lot of teams that screw up. It's just that it's easy to poke fun at the Browns. And I think that the Browns are going to be in that situation where unless you get the GOAT, or just, in 3 years from now, we look back at this like, of course the Browns picked that guy. Of course they picked him. And I feel like there's going to be some positions. I'm not even super high on Cam Ward. I just think he's probably the safest bet. I mean, I would still take Dart over him, but I think he's just the safest. And so I think it's an unfortunate situation. If you had luck there, it's like, well, we picked him, but we would have gotten fired if we didn't pick him. At least it makes it safe there. But I think it's a tough situation because I don't think many of these guys are locks. And I think that there could be much better players, in the mid first round that end up blowing these other top guys out of the water. I'd just be worried. I just don't like that pressure of picking first unless there's like a consensus guy.
No, I agree. That's why sometimes when we've talked about it, I'm like, this is who I think should go here, but I think a quarterback's going to go here because that's just what teams do, right? Like, truth be told, quarterbacks shouldn't even go. I mean, if we're being generous, Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders are like late teens, early 20s as far as like overall would go. But they're always going to get overdrafted a little bit. And I think you're spot on. You're going to, and that's kind of why the same teams repeat, right? They repeatedly put themselves in this position. We're taking this dude because we have to.
Yep.
Instead of just taking what you're, and that's why I feel like it's the same teams who recycle through this. And it's because they continuously just draft someone because they have to. So I think you're right with the Titans. I think Cam Ward will be the pick, but I'm not comfortable with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
And it's
I
not a
sure-
lock. It's not a lock for them.
Nope.
Everyone's got their own opinions on it. So unless he becomes a superstar, everyone's gonna say, "Dude, we told you so." You should have picked this guy. You should have been Abdul Carter. Should have been so and so. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, dude, you don't want to be the first. It's the same in the fantasy drafts. There's not a lock pick where you picked McCaffrey. It's like that sucked. I picked McCaffrey
twice, 2 different drafts. I had McCaffrey number 1 overall. I was so mad last year.
I also picked him up 3rd. I was the idiot that got him. Thought I was like, dude, I'm rolling. And then,
So, did your commissioner finish last place?
Mine.
Yeah, our commissioner finished last place. So
He didn't make the playoffs. I know that.
I've never not made the playoffs in fantasy football in my entire life. And then the first year that I became commissioner and started our own league, McCaffrey first pick, I was the same. I'm like, I feel like this is safe, right? Like, he's a running back who puts up receiver numbers. Like, this is just a really safe pick. And then before the season, it's like, well, now he has bad Achilles. And I'm like, well, okay. Like, what? Redraft? I'm the commissioner. Can I do this? Can we redraft?
I'm going to take your guy. I'm bringing over my team. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
We, for like an 8-year stretch, the quarterback that I drafted in fantasy, they like every year for like 8 years ended up going to the Super Bowl. And then like after I left, I served a mission for a bit. And then they asked me, they're like, "Hey, you didn't pick your quarterback. Like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be?" And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I just picked the Ravens. I didn't even know what was going on. They win the Super Bowl. I'm in Mexico. I'm not even there.
This is the Joe Flacco Ravens year.
Yeah.
That's how long ago that was. Yeah.
yeah. All right, guys.
That was a long time.
Any other comments on any of the topics that we talked about tonight?
I have a different team besides the Cowboys if we have a second. I actually wasn't going to pick the Cowboys because I just refused to talk about them pre-draft. Just because I know all season long I'm just going to shit on them. So I don't want to tire people out before the season even starts for how much I'm just going to shit all over my favorite team. Because that's what you do, right? That's just what you do. My team sucks. We're terrible. Unless you're a Chiefs fan, then you can just shut up.
Exactly.
Or a Patriots fan. Yeah, exactly. Or a Patriots fan 10 years ago. Just shut up and let everybody else wallow in their sadness. I actually have the Washington Commanders as a team that have to win this draft. They struck gold last year, and the probability of a sophomore slump is incredibly high, especially when you did so well and you're still second fiddle in your own division, not just conference but division. They've traded away multiple draft picks this year. They've only got 5 draft picks. With a first, a second, a fourth, a sixth, and a seventh. But those draft picks they traded away, I truly believe, tried to make their team better with veterans. They brought in Deebo Samuel this year. They brought in Laramie Tunsil this year. And for truly not that much capital, I feel like they legitimately made their team better. Now, Deebo Samuel is about as strong and healthy as a wet paper towel, but Laramie Tunsil is like a legitimate player. And I'm hoping that Mason Graham gets the Laramie Tunsil draft day treatment, where some picture of him gas massing up. Let's let this all-star talent drop a few picks. Dallas goes ahead and gets him at 12. I think the Washington Commanders, in their 5 picks this year, even if they take those picks and trade for more capital in the years to come and say, hey, we're going to ride this year out, but we're going to make our team better in the future, I think they have to hit to keep. Because as we've seen with the Niners, they lost everybody this year. I'm even on record of saying they've lost the will to live this year because of how much they've lost. They had their window with their quarterback, albeit the last draft pick. They were paying him a nickel. At pick number 262, he was getting like a nickel a year. And now that's not going to be the case. And everybody wants money, and they had the money because they weren't paying their quarterback anything. But that time is over. And so sorry, my dog just popped up in the window. the Commanders have to hit right now because they have an actual talent as a quarterback, and that team is pretty good, which pains me to say as a Dallas fan. Because it's always been, oh, we're better than Washington. Oh, we're better than New York. Now we're barely better than New York. And so yeah, I think the Washington Commanders have to hit this year in the draft.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you even look back this last season with the Texans. I know that they played in a shitty division, right? So they were able to muster, but they didn't look good at times. C.J. Stroud obviously had a drop off in what he was able to do, but the sophomore slump is a thing, and it makes me a little nervous for Bo Nix going into second year with what they have. So I Denver has to win this draft to me, but that's on the fan side of it. But I stayed in the NFC East, and I said the Giants just based on Dayball and GM being on the hot seat and how shitty they handled the Saquon situation last year and completely picked the wrong guy, right? Let's stick with Daniel Jones and let Saquon go win a Super Bowl with the Eagles. So, again, it is a big draft year for the NFC East just based on the Eagles aren't going anywhere. I mean, you don't know what Jalen Hurts and what he's going to be able to do, but that defense is still pretty rock solid and what they were able to do. The D-line obviously bullied the Chiefs, and they didn't even blitz in the Super Bowl, and they were still able to just bully their way in. Sorry, but again, it was fun to watch for me. I do know that much.
For most of us, it was.
As a Cowboys fan, that was a fun Super Bowl. I hate the Chiefs because they're good. That's the only reason why.
No, it's fine. I'm still sitting with stacks of Super Bowls in my lifetime. So
hey, me too. They were just 30 years ago. They're just so dusty nowadays.
Yeah.
So again, I think there's a lot of teams that do have to win this draft just based on situations with front office and coaches. Based on this is really, again, I'm going to stay with this is not the year to be on the hot seat and need players in this draft just based on what the talent pool is. So, anything to add on that?
No, and that's I think the Bears have to win the draft. Just given the hype that they've kind of built over the last year and a half, and then especially this offseason, bringing in arguably the hottest coaching candidate with Ben Johnson. You go out and shore up that offensive line in a matter of seconds into the offseason. They've built a lot of hype and a lot of expectations there. It needs to continue through this draft for them. There's a lot of hype with them right now, and they're not in a cakewalk division. The Vikings might regress a little bit depending on quarterback play from McCarthy. You got to think the Packers will still be okay. But if you're as good as you think you're going to be and as good as I think you're going to be, you have to nail the draft and kind of put yourself up there with the Lions. There's just if they can't bomb this draft. They've had two good drafts coming up to this. Great off season. To be seen on Ben Johnson. We think he's going to be a good coach. You just never know, but he was supposed to be the guy. I don't even know if Dallas tried. They might have, but
probably not. He's a good coach.
Yeah, that's why they might have tried. I don't know, but I think they have to nail it because they've done a good job of building up to this point and getting some hype going. That you don't want to sour it at the quote unquote end of the off season, going into training camps and stuff, but just a piss poor draft.
Final thoughts on the Bears?
Bears.
Caleb's a bust.
Guys. Oh,
everybody's a bust when you get sacked 68 times in one season.
Yeah, no.
I mean, Drake May's better.
Well, I'm not sure. Guys, go ahead and give us the final words. Give us your socials so everyone listening the episode where they can find you guys at.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, 3 guys, 6 balls. And
we're on TikTok.
We are on TikTok.
I didn't know we were on Twitter. So this is news for me too.
Yeah, we have like a whopping 8 followers.
I'm not even
Yeah.
I have 9.
And I know this is your guys' show, but I'll do our sign off. Don't forget to keep your balls played with, everyone.
Again, we appreciate you guys coming on, and make sure you do play with your balls. And don't forget to go check out Mark Davis's haircut. I know that's another thing you guys like to talk about.
Oh, yes, we almost – yep.
Hey, we talked about it earlier.
We
Mark
did. Okay, we
Davis'
did.
haircut.
Yeah.
There was a
We're
trade.
trading
There
Jerry
was a
Jones for
trade.
Mark Davis's haircut.
There's always room. There's always room for one more mention about Mark Davis' haircut.
It's the cornerstone of our podcast. Without it, everything falls apart.
There you go. So we appreciate you guys coming on. We'll have to do it again once we get close to the season. Maybe after the draft, we'll get the Cowboys guys, and we'll see what your guys' thoughts are on. Is it going to be another poopy year?
They'll
or
hate
is
it.
gonna-
I already know. They'll hate it.
So
It's going to be their year.
make sure you guys tune into the draft. Make sure you guys come back Saturday. We'll have Levi Ashmore on with us. He's doing some Emporia State with me. He's a baseball coach, so we're looking forward to having Levi on. And then next week, hopefully, we'll get Chi-Town Blitz and Micah back on the show. Maybe go over the Bears draft. And then we have a roundtable coming up in a couple weeks. So busy couple weeks coming up here on the show. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Twitter or X and TikTok as well. Go follow us on or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Shovick Sports. And we will see you guys next week.